أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلال فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب عليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بالضر أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بالضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي واجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض من أنفسهم مما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالأرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية وإلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في السور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواج في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مزيا ولا يرجعون ومن نؤمره ننكس في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر ما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر قرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أن خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي عظاما وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقظون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده الملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء وبقوتك التي قهرت بها كل شيء وخضع لها كل شيء وذللها كل شيء وبجبروتك التي غلبت بها كل شيء وبعزتك التي لا يقوم لها شيء وبعظمتك التي ملأت كل شيء وبسلطانك الذي على كل شيء وبوجهك الباقي بعد فناء كل شيء وبأسمائك التي ملأت أركان كل شيء وبعلمك الذي أحاط بكل شيء وبنور وجهك الذي أضاء له كل شيء، يا نور يا قدوس، يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل النكام، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تغير النعام، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تقطع الرجاء، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل البلاء. اللهم اغفر لي كل ذنب أذنبته وكل خطيئة أخطأتها، اللهم إني أتقرب إليك بذكرك وأستشفئ بك إلى نفسك، وأسألك بجودك أن تذنيني من كربك، أن توزعني شكرك، وأن تلهمني ذكرك. اللهم إني أسألك سؤال خاضع متذلل خاشع، أن تسامحني وترحمني وتجعلني بقسمك راضيا قانعا، وفي جميع الأحوال متواضعا. اللهم وأسألك سؤال من شدد فاقده وأنزل بك عند الشدائد حاجته، وعظم فيما عندك رغبته. اللهم عظم سلطانك وعلى مكانك وخفي مكروك وظهر أمرك وغلب قهرك وجريت قدرتك، ولا يمكن الفرار من حكومتك. اللهم لا أجد لذنوبي غافرا ولا لقبائه ساترا ولا لشيء من عمل القبيح بالحسن مبدلا غيرك. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك وبحمدك ظلمت نفسي وتجرعت بجحلي، وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك علي. اللهم مولاي كم من كبيه سترت، وكم من فادهم من البلاء أكلت، وكم من إثار وقيت، وكم من مكروه دفعت، وكم من ثناء جميل لست أحلا له نشرت. اللهم عظم بلائي وأفرت بي سوء حالي، وكسرت بي أعمالي، وكعدت بي أغلالي، وحبسني عن نفعي بعد عملي، وقد أتني الدنيا بغرورها ونفسي بجنايتها ومثالي يا سيدي. فأسألك بعزتك أن لا يحجب عنك دعائي سوء عملي وفعالي، ولا تفضحني بخفي ما اعتلأت علي من سري، ولا تؤاجلني بالعقوبة على ما أملته في خلواتي من سوء فعلي وإساءتي ودوام تفريطي وجحالتي وكثرة شهواتي وغفلتي. وكن اللهم بعزتك لي في كل الأحوال رؤوفا، وعلي في جميع الأمور عطوفا. إلهي وربي، من لي غيرك أسأله كشف ضري والنظر في عمري. إلهي ومولاي، أجريت علي حكما اتبعت فيه هوى نفسي، ولم أحترس فيه من تزيين عدوي، فغرني بما أهوى وأسعده على ذلك القضاء، فتجاوزت بما جرى علي من ذلك بعد حدودك، وخالفت بعض أوامرك، فلك الحجة علي في جميع ذلك. ولا تؤاجلني فيما جرى علي فيه قضاؤك، والزمني حكمك وبلاؤك، فقد أتيتك يا إلهي بعد تقصيري وإسرافي على نفسي، مؤتضرا نادما منكسرا مستقيلا مستغفرا منيبا، مكرا مذعنا مؤترفا، لا أجد مفرا مما كان مني، ولا مفزعا أتوجه إليه في عمري غير قبولك أظري، وإدخالك إياي في سعة من رحمتك. اللهم فكبايا الأظر وارحم شدة ضري، وفكني من شد وثاكي يا رب. ارحم ضعف بدني وركة جلدي ودكة عظمي، يا من بدأ خلقي وذكري وتربيتي وبري وتغذيتي، هبني لابتداء كرمك وسالف برك بي يا إلهي وسيدي وربي. أتراك مؤذبي بنارك بعد توحيدك، وبعد من توى عليه قلبي من معرفتك، ولهج به لساني من ذكرك، واتخذه ضميري من حبك، وبعد صدق الترافي ودعاء خاضعا لربوبيتك، هيهات أنت أقرم من أن تضيئ يا من ربيت أو تبعد يا من أدنيت أو تشرد يا من آويت أو تسلم إلى البلاء من كفيته ورحمت. وليت شعري يا سيدي وإلهي ومولاي أتسلط النار على وجوه خرت لعظمتك يا ساجدا وعلى ألسن نطقت بتوحيدك يا صادقا وبشكرك مادها وعلى قلوب اترفت بإلهيتك يا محققا وعلى ضمائر حوت من العلم بك حتى صارت خاشعة وعلى جوارها سعت إلى أوتان تعبدك تائعة وأشارت باستغفارك يا مذعنا. ما هكذا يا ذن بك ولا أكبرنا بفضلك يا أنك يا كريم يا ربي. وأنت تعلم ضعفي عن قليل من بلاء الدنيا وعقوباتها وما يجري فيها من المكاره على أهلها، ألا أن ذلك يا بلاء ومقروء قليل مقذور يسير بقاء قصير مدته. فكيف احتمالي لبلاء الآخرة وجليل وقوع المكاره فيها وهو بلاء تطول مدته ويدوم مقامه ولا يخفف عن أهله، لأنه لا يكون إلا عن غضبك وانتقامك وسخطك. وهذا ما لا تقوم له السماوات والأرض. يا سيدي فكيف بي وأنا عبدك ضعيف الذليل الحقير المسكين المستكين. يا إلهي وربي وسيدي ومولاي، لأي الأمور إليك أشكو ولما منها أذج وأبكي، لأليم العذاب وشدته أم لطول البلاء ومدته. فلئن سيرتني للعقوبات مع أعدائك وجمعت بيني وبين أهل بلائك وفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك فحبني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي. صبرت على عذابك فكيف أصبر على فراقك، وحبني صبرت على حر نارك فكيف أصبر عن النظر إلى كرامتك، أم كيف أسكن في النار ورجائي أفوق. فبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا، لئن تركتني ناتك لأذجن إليك بين أهلها يا زجيج الآملين. ولأصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين، ولأبكين إليك بكاء الفاقدين، ولأنادينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين. يا غاية يا آمال العارفين، يا غياث يا المستغيثين، يا حبيب قلوب الصادقين، ويا إله العالمين. أفتراك سبحانك يا إلهي وبحمدك تسمع فيها صوت عبد مسلم سجن فيها بمخالفته، وذاك طعم عذابها بمعصيته، وحبس بين أطباقها بجرمه وجريرته، وهو يذج إليك زجيج معمل لرحمتك، ويناديك بلسان أهل توحيدك، ويتوسل إليك بربوبيتك يا مولاي. فكيف يبقى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من حلمك؟ أم كيف تؤلمه النار وهو يعمل فضلك ورحمتك؟ أم كيف يهركه لهيبها وأنت تسمع صوته وترى مكانه؟ أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم ضعفا؟ أم كيف يتقلقل بين أدباكها وأنت تعلم صدقا؟ أم كيف تزجره زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا رب؟ أم كيف يرجو فضلك في إتقه منها فتتركه فيها؟ هيهات ما ذلك ظن بك ولا المعروف من فضلك، ولا مشبه لما آمنت به الموحدين من برك وإحسانك. فباليقين أقطع لولا ما حكمت به من تعذيب جاهديك وقضيت به من إخلاد معاندك، لجعلت النار كلها بردا وسلاما، وما كان لأحد فيها مقرا ولا مقاما. لكنك تقدست أسماؤك أقسمت أن تملأها من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين، وأن تخلد فيها المعاندين، وأن تجل ثناؤك يا قلت مبتدئا وتتولت بالإنعام متكرما. أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون. إلهي وسيدي فاسألك يا بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالكذية التي حتمتها وحكمتها وغلبت من عليه أجريتها، أن تهب لي في هذه الليلة وفي هذه الساعة كل جرم أجرمته وكل ذنب أذنبته وكل قبيح أسررته وكل جحل عملته، كتمته أو أعلنته، أغفيته أو أظهرت، وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني، وجعلتهم شهودا علي مع جواره، وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم والشاهدا لما خفي عنهم، وبرحمتك يا أغفيت، وبفضلك يا سترت، وأن توفر حظي من كل خير تنزل أو إحسان تفضل أو بر تنشر أو رزق تبسط أو ذنب تغفر أو خطأ تستر يا ربي يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومالك يا ركي، يا من بيده ناسيتي، يا أليما بذري ومسكنتي، يا خبيرا بفقري وفاكتي، يا ربي يا رب أسألك بحقك يا وقدسك وأعظم صفاتك يا وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقاتي في الليل والنهار بذكرك يا معمورا، وبخدمتك يا موصولا، وأعمالي عندك مقبولا، حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا، وهالي في خدمتك يا سرمدا، يا سيدي يا من عليه مأولي، يا من إليه شكوت أهوالي، يا ربي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب قو على خدمتك جواره، واشدد على العزيمة جوانه، وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك، حتى أسرح إليك في ميادين السابقين، وأسرع إليك يا في المبادرين، واشتاك إلى قربك في المشتاقين، وأدنو منك دنو المخلصين، وأخافك مخافة الموقنين، واجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين. اللهم ومن أرادني بسوء فأرد، ومن كادني فقد، واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نسيبا عندك، وأقربهم منزلة منك، وأقسهم زلفة لديك، فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك، وجد لي بجودك، وأتف علي بمجدك، واحفظني برحمتك، واجعل لساني بذكرك لهجا، وقلبي بحبك يا مطيما، ومن علي بحسن إجابتك، وأقلني أثرتي، واغفر زلتي، فإنك قضيت على عبادك يا بإبادتك وأمرتهم بدعائي وزمنت لهم الإجابة فإليك يا ربي نسبت وجهي وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي وبلغني منى ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي واكفني شر الجن والإنس من أعدائي يا سريع يا رضا اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء فإنك فعال لما تشاء يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء وطاعته غنى ارحم من رأس ماله رجاء وسلاهه البكاء يا سابغ النعام يا دافع النقام يا نور المستوحشين يا في الظلام يا عالما لا يعلم صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بما أنت أحلو وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما كثيرا فصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الأطهار.
Tonight is the 1-year anniversary of Marhum Sayyid Asadullah Musawi, and this week we've also heard the sad news of the passing away of Allama Sheikh Muhsin Ali Najafi in Pakistan. Allama was a representative of both Sayyid Khoi and Sayyid Sistani, and he was the head of many seminaries in Pakistan. And he's also well known as a mufassir because he authored a tafsir of the Quran in Urdu, known as Al-Kawthar fi Tafsir al-Quran. Please recite Surah Al-Fatiha for both of them, as well as the names that will be appearing on the screen, and all marhumeen. Surah Al-Mubarakat Al-Fatiha. Bismillah. Please also recite Dua Shafa for all those who are in need tonight. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amman yujibul mudtarra idha da'ah wa yakshifu as-su'. Amman yujibul mudtarra idha da'ah wa yakshifu as-su'. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Salat al-Fajr will continue as it does every week here at Hyderi this Sunday at 7 o'clock in the morning, followed by Dua Ahad, a short Quranic reflection and breakfast. Please, before we invite the Sayyid for the Majlis, please may I ask you all to stand up and move as close to the member as possible. At the same time, if we can welcome Sayyid Rehan Naqvi with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ربنا واجعلنا مسلمين لك ومن ذريتنا أمة مسلمة لك. Please recite a salawat. Respected listeners, my dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to share with you a personal anecdote. In the year 2010, I was flying to Pakistan and I had a connecting flight in Dubai. Not the Dubai International Airport, but the other airport, which apparently has different terminals. And I landed on one terminal and I had to go to the other terminal. So I had to take a minibus that would take me to the other terminal. And as I sat in that minibus, I noticed a young Pakistani boy sitting there alone and holding on to his bag. And he looked a little bit confused and a little bit scared. And the bus waited for a few minutes until a tall, strong Arab man entered the minibus and he sat next to that Pakistani boy. And then that Pakistani boy said something to that Arab man, a bit hesitantly, a bit scared. And he said to that man, Mera passport kidhar hai? Where is my passport? And the Arab man said something back in Urdu, broken Urdu. The Arab man said back to him, passport mar gayi hai. And then laughed shamelessly. He said, your passport is dead. What does that mean? You are effectively my slave. Your passport is in my possession. And without your passport, you are nothing. You can't escape from this country, from this nation state. That sentence stayed with me. And that sentence, which was said casually, actually carries a lot with it. It reveals a lot. It reveals the condition and the state of the Ummah. Because it's not only the passport of that poor Pakistani boy that mar gayi hai, that is dead. It is also the soul of the Ummah that mar gayi hai, is dead. And it's not only dead. It's not that it has recently died. It's been dead for a very long time. But the good thing is that there are individuals who do not even live in predominantly Muslim countries, but they care about the Ummah. People like yourselves. People like yourselves. So when Brother Khamani contacted me and he suggested that I talk about the Ummah, I was really pleased. I was glad. I was happy. And I'm very proud of you, this community, that you are interested in this subject. And I'm proud of myself that I got the opportunity and this honor to talk about this subject from this pulpit. And as you know, the overarching theme of this two-part series of lectures is the Ummah in the era of nation states, challenges and our responsibilities. And this is a very big topic, very broad and deep topic, and it has so many aspects. And I have really been trying to only scratch the surface in the first lecture. And today also, I've got almost less than 30 minutes or so, because after that we have this Q&A session that I've been looking forward to, and inshallah during that session we will have a dialogue and we will discuss different aspects of this topic. But today in this lecture what I'm going to do is that first, very quickly, a recap, a minute or two of what I discussed in the first lecture, and after that the question, Ummah Muslimah, or Ummate Muslima that we say colloquially in Farsi and Urdu. Does such a thing exist as we perceive it? What does the Quran say about it? Very brief discussion about that. And then look at the ahadith. What does the hadith tell us about the ummah? What kind of ummah we are, regardless of whether our soul is dead, regardless of all those big problems between nation states and all that. A theoretical, academic discussion related to Ummah Muslimah, and what kind of Ummah we are. And after that, I'll focus on the challenges we face and also look at two aspects of this subject. One, those challenges that we have very little to do with, that we cannot really influence, but it's important to know about them. And then I'll focus more on the arena and those areas and those challenges related to the Ummah where we can make a difference and we should make a difference. And inshallah, after that, a very brief eulogy, Masa'ib, and after that we'll have Q&A, inshallah. But before I proceed, wherever you are, you who are blessed to be present here and those who are blessed to be watching this program online, from the bottom of your heart, please recite a beautiful salawat. So, in the first lecture, I discussed that Ummah can have different meanings. It has been used in different contexts. Ummah basically means a group of people who live in one geographical area or in one era or have a common belief. This is one definition of Ummah. Another definition of Ummah is a group of people who have a common goal. And then I also discussed that in the Quran, the term Ummah Wahida appears, and that refers to the whole humanity, all human beings. In particular, this is the point of view of Allama Tabatabai. And then I also discussed that there can be different concentric circles. There is one Ummah that we can say the whole humanity is one Ummah. Then we have the Ummah when it comes to the Abrahamic people because they have a somewhat common belief in one God and the hereafter. And then we have the Ummah of Muslims. And then we have the Ummah, if we may use this word, of the Shia. However, we are concerned, well, as regards this lecture, we are concerned with the Ummah when it comes to the whole Muslim population around the world. So this was the brief summary, and I discussed other things and the frictions between a nation state and Ummah and so on and so forth, but I'm not getting into those details. Now, we call ourselves Ummati Muslimah or Ummah Muslimah. Are we really Ummati Muslimah? Does such a thing even exist? When we look at the Quran, we come to realize that throughout the Holy Quran, Ummah Muslimah appears only once. Only once. And it does not refer to us. Very important discussion, just a couple of minutes to set the scene. The Quran does not talk about Ummati Muslimah or Ummah Muslimah as we perceive it. No, it doesn't. I recited verse number 128 of Surah Al-Baqarah in the opening sermon, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us what Ibrahim alayhi salam said. He prayed, Rabbana waj'alna muslimayni laka wa min dhurriyyatina ummatan muslimatan laka. He prayed, O Lord, make us both, Ismail and myself, make us both muslimayni laka, fully submit to you. Muslimain, he uses the word Muslimain, we too, both of us fully submit to you. And وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِنَا, and from our progeny, from our descendants, ummatan muslimatan laka, a nation, a people, a group of people, an ummah that will fully submit to you. Ummatan muslimatan laka. And when we look at different works of exegesis of the Quran, the focus is on the word laka. Ummatan muslimatan laka. This laka tells us that the focus and the emphasis here is on fully submitting to you. This Ummah Muslimah has got nothing to do with 1.5 billion Muslims living today. When you look at different works of exegesis, this tells us that وَمِنَ ذُرِّيَّتِنَا, and from our descendants, the descendants of Ibrahim, there has to be a chosen group of people that is going to fully submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to such a degree that they do not even commit a makruh or even tarki awla. They don't even commit slightest of mistakes. They do not have any implicit shirk khafi in their hearts. They only see God and Allah alone. They are the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. We are not Ummati Muslimah. We are not Ummah Muslimah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never said you are Ummah Muslimah. So where do we get this idea that Ummati Muslimah? We are Ummah, but not Ummati Muslimah. Very important point, because no one can submit to him that way. So what are we? Ummah? What Ummah? We are Ummatu Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. This Ummah Muslimah is a construct of Muslims. The hadith refers to us as Ummati, Ummati. The Holy Prophet talked about us, my Ummah, which means Allah is telling us, your identity as Ummah is with the nisbah, with the Prophet, my final messenger. Your whole identity as Ummah is related to him. That's very important to understand. And he was so concerned about the Ummah that we see many ahadith. In many ahadith, the Holy Prophet ﷺ talked about the end of times. He praised the people in the end of times, the Ummah, certain individuals of the Ummah, but he also warned us what was going to happen to the Ummah. When we talk about the challenges the Ummah is going to face in the end of times, we can see them in the ahadith. He foretold us the prophecies in the ahadith. He said to the Sahaba, of course he speaks to the Sahaba, the Holy Prophet ﷺ talks to the Sahaba like you, but of course he's talking about the Ummah in the end of times. And he says, your condition will be like the way flood takes away straw and dust and debris, like that. The Sahaba said, in the end of times, there'll be a time, will we be so few in number? The Holy Prophet said, no, you will be many, but this will happen to you. Why? The Holy Prophet said, you will forget the hereafter and follow the desires of your nafs. And I paraphrase. Then another hadith. There are several hadiths where the Holy Prophet says, Akhafu ala ummati thalatha. I am afraid about my ummah. I'm concerned with my ummah as regards these three things. Sometimes he talks about several things, 3 things, 2 things, 5 things, regardless. One important hadith in which he says, 3 things I fear for my ummah. 3 things. What are those 3 things? First, bukhl. They will be miserly. Secondly, hawa, the desires of their nafs they will follow. And then the last one, pay attention, very important, the last one, related to our topic, the nation states and the ummah. The last one, imaman dhallan, misleading leaders. Misleading leaders. The problem is, and imaman dhallan, this is the problem in the end of times. In these times, so many Muslim countries, and every country has its own leader. And what kind of leaders are they? As I said, first I'll talk about the challenges that we cannot really make much difference when it comes to those challenges, but it is important to understand that those challenges exist. Imaman dhallan. Most Muslim countries, first of all, do not even have democracy. They don't have democracy. So even the populations of their own populations can't make much difference, let alone we who don't even live there, live far away. The leaders, the way they treat the people in their countries, of course they give wealth and they give luxury and all those things in the countries of the Middle East, but they don't feel that they're accountable to their populations. They're not accountable. In their minds, they are even superior to the first Caliph Abu Bakr, superior to the second Caliph Umar, superior to the third Caliph Uthman. Because even those people were accountable to the population of Muslims in their times. Even the first, second, and third Caliph, we can vehemently disagree with them. But still, they never thought that they were not even accountable to people. Or at least like the current rulers of many Muslim countries. Don't feel accountable. They can do whatever they want to do. What happened to Khashoggi? Khashoggi, we all know that. No accountability, no democracy. So when there is no democracy, they can do whatever they want to do. We can only complain. They can decide with which country they want to normalize their relations, with which country they want to sever the ties. People have got nothing to do with that. It's not even allowed for their people to come out on streets and protest. It's not allowed in many, many countries, which we are allowed here. They're not. They can't change anything. So how can we? We can't bring about any changes when it comes to that. On top of that, as I said, nation states, they are only concerned with the benefits and the well-being of their own nation state. That's it. That's it. Bring slaves from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Philippines, whatever. Bring slaves. Well, it's practically slavery. From Muslim countries, cheap labor, no rights, no equal citizenship, no human rights. What's happening? And ummah. Which ummah? No respect. So this is going on. Only concerned with their own nation state, their own people. Of course, they have cooperation councils, and there are certain countries that have made agreements and treaties, and people of those countries can go freely to each other's countries. But a Pakistani guy can't just go and start working there and living there. Even we can't. And there is so much racism in certain Muslim countries that even if you have an American, if you're an American citizen or British citizen or European citizen, because you have the wrong color, you're not going to be treated equally. You won't get the respect that a white American guy will get if you even get a job in one of the corporates in those countries. This is the reality. These are bitter realities. And we sit here and we say, oh, there is racism in Britain. Yes, there is. Everywhere there is, but not of that sort. Not of that sort. And these countries need to maintain this difference in the classes of people. It doesn't even cross their mind there, those leaders. This thought doesn't cross their mind that, oh, we have to lift the Muslim populations out of poverty, ignorance. No. We're only going to use our wealth to have proxies in those countries, to forward our agendas, to forward our thoughts and all that. Never trying to include the Ummah, other countries, to uplift them. No. But what can we do? We can't do much. Really, we can't do when it comes to this. As I said, even the populations of those countries can't do anything. All we can do is that raise awareness, become aware of it, write about it. But still, to be honest, it's not going to make much difference. But then there are other areas, other arenas where we can and we must make a difference. First of all, when it comes to the Palestinian cause, for example, regardless of where you are, regardless of where you live, speak up. Speak up, support the Palestinian cause, okay. But that's the easy bit. With all due respect, going out, protesting freely in London, yeah, it's easy. You can't go out and protest in certain Muslim capitals. It's easy bit. It's the British democracy and freedom of expression that allows us to do that. But okay, but then there are many other things. I say, if you want to help the Ummah, if you really want to add value and make a difference, then you have got to kill. You've got to kill. You have to kill ignorance. You have to kill poverty. You have to kill the abuse of children and women. These are the things to be killed. You have to kill hunger. You have to kill illiteracy. You have to kill environmental problems. These are the things that we can really make a difference in these arenas. Taking part in a protest and taking out this Muslim rant online is the easy bit. But changing someone's life for better and profoundly, is the difficult bit. You want to make a difference? Work on those things, in those areas. Educate someone. Work in educational projects, health projects, water, sanitation. This is what we have got to do. We have to be very honest and very practical and rational. This is what will earn us the hereafter. This is what we are supposed to do. Really. And also in our own capacity, I said, kill ignorance. Ignorance. Whenever you can, educate the world about Shia Muslims. I said I was going to talk about the place of Shia Muslims in the Ummah. We don't have much time to get into details, but we can discuss during the Q&A maybe if someone is interested. Work to raise the awareness. Awareness. And one of the biggest challenges that the Ummah faces today is closed-mindedness. Jamud. Jamud, narrow-mindedness, closed-mindedness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيَجْعَلُ الرِّجْسَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. And Allah casts impurities and defilement onto those who do not use their aql. Today the Ummah, the biggest problem of the Ummah is that most of us are not willing to use our aql. With all due respect. Jamud, stagnation. Rushing to judge others. Not willing to discuss any subject objectively. Takfir, the cancer of takfir is rooted in this, not using aql. Falling prey to conspiracy theories, emotional outbursts, singing songs about the glory of the past, but not using our aql. We need to work on that front. That front. But you know what? Charity begins at home. Think globally, act locally. Maybe even in Britain there is so much jamud. Maybe in Britain there is so much narrow-mindedness that we are not even willing to listen to others' points of view. Among Muslims, there is so much sectarianism happening in England, in Britain, and also among Shia Muslims, unfortunately so. Think globally, act locally. We want to talk about the Ummah, great things, but we can't even get our own house in order. We can't even get our own congregation in order. I'm talking in generic terms. I'm really not talking about this congregation. I don't even know this congregation. I'm so new here. Small things. But okay, we have to do those things. Water projects, hunger, education, medication, health, all those things. Do charity. My brothers and sisters, whatever charity program you like, World Federation has a very good charity program, but they haven't asked me to say this. They haven't asked me. Whatever you like. And think and rise above sectarian, parochial concerns. I will give only charity to the Shia. No. Think broader. I'm not saying that you should not help the Shia, but think broader. And I know so many Shia Muslims have given charity to the Palestinian cause, and I know there is a group of brothers, they are working for the Rohingya cause, and so on and so forth. When the earthquake happened in Pakistan, people gave a lot of donations. They didn't think it was Shia or Sunni or even Muslim. So I know that we have that spirit. This is very important. You want to work for the Ummah? Start from there. Charity, that's something tangible. And think how you can help to fight ignorance and jamud and stagnation. We need to think about it. So I'm just scratching the surface. I've got only 5 minutes left. And it is very important that I take a quick and critical look at early Islamic history and brief eulogy. And inshallah, after that, we'll have this Q&A session. You see, in the last lecture I said the root cause of all the issues we have today, the issues the Ummah faces and the issues the humanity faces, is rooted in Yawmul Ithnain, the calamity of Monday, when Saqifa happened. And really, this is really not exaggeration. As I told you, Imam Reza alayhi salam said, Wallah ma usiba alu Muhammadin illa fi yawmil ithnain. No calamity befell Alu Muhammad, but it is rooted in that, what happened in Saqifa. Because the just representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not get to rule that community and eventually the whole world. The whole world. And Shaykh Mufid, who was one of the great scholars of Shia Islam, he talks about Saqifa and says that, you know, if this did not happen, then even two persons wouldn't disagree on any subject. Is it? Even two persons wouldn't disagree, wouldn't have disagreement, because the just representative of Allah would raise the uqul of the people to such a degree, the aql of people to such a degree, and have such a justice-based system that everything would become crystal clear. Even two persons wouldn't. And then Shaykh Mufid says, Fatimiyya wouldn't have taken place. Then Shaykh Mufid says, Ali wouldn't have been killed. And then, what I'm going to talk about today. And then he says, Hassan wouldn't have been poisoned. Hassan. Today I want to dedicate these next 2-3 minutes to our master Hassan. It just, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it into my heart that I should talk about Imam Hassan alayhi salam. And I thought, yeah, I will. You know, we usually chant this slogan, Abad wallah ya Zahra ma ninsa Husayna. By God, O Zahra, we will never forget your Hussein. But I want to say, you know what? We should also say to Our Lady, Abad wallah ya Zahra ma ninsa Hasana. Because there is no difference between Hassan and Hussein. Imaman, the Holy Prophet said. They're both Imams. And Hassan is someone who is even the Imam of Imam Hussein. The Imam of Imam Hussein. This great son of Zahra, who was deserted by the Ummah, who was oppressed by the Ummah. When all his generals were bought out by Muawiyah, and he had to make this treaty, and then he lived his life, and then Muawiyah could not tolerate even that. So he had to hatch a plot to get Hassan martyred. And you know how he was martyred? We hear it. We hear it and we take it for granted because our hearts have become hardened. We say he was poisoned. Poisoned. And you know what happens when someone is poisoned? How it affects the vital organs. Hassan was poisoned, and when he vomited, 70 pieces of his liver came out. But just last two sentences for the marhum and for us, for our salvation these days. Quantity is not important. Quality. One tear with the ma'rifah of Hassan. One tear. Hassan, when he lied on his deathbed and he stretched his feet in pain, Hussein started to shed tears, and Hassan felt those tears onto his face, and he said, Hussein, don't cry. Last sentence. In those moments, Hassan said that. He said, La yawma ka yawmika, ya Aba Abdullah. La yawma ka yawmika, ya Aba Abdullah. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجهم ونحن أعدائهم أجمعين.
زيارة وارث.
السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله. السلام عليك يا وارث نوح النبي الله. السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله. السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله. السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله. السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين ولي الله. السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى. السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن الثاره والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وأتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرزيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأسلاب الشامخة وأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين. وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرزي الزكي الهادي المهدي. وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وعلام الهدى والعرف والوثقى والهجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله ملائكة وأنبياء ورسلا أني بكم مؤمن وبيا بكم موقن بشراء ديني خواتمي أملي وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم ولا أرواحكم ولا أجسادكم ولا أجسامكم ولا شاهدكم ولا غائبكم ولا ظاهركم ولا باطنكم. زيارة حضرت علي أكبر عليه السلام. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا ابن نبي الله. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا ابن حسين الشهيد. السلام عليك أيها الشهيد وابن الشهيد. السلام عليك أيها المظلوم وابن المظلوم. لعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرزيت به. زاد شهداء كربلاء. السلام عليكم يا أولياء الله وأحباءه. السلام عليكم يا أسفياء الله وأوداءه. السلام عليكم يا أنصار دين الله. السلام عليكم يا أنصار أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليكم يا أنصار فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. السلام عليكم يا أنصار أمير المؤمنين علي بن ولي الناس. السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي عبد الله بأبي أنتم وأمي طبتم وطابت الأرض التي فيها دفنتم وفزتم فوزا عظيما، فيا ليتني كنت معكم فأفوز معكم. زيارة حضرت عباس عليه السلام. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك أيها العبد الصالح المطيع لله ورسوله أشهد أنك قد جاهدت ونصحت صبرت حتى ذاق اليقين لعن الله الظالمين لكم من الأولين والآخرين والحقهم بدرك الجحيم. السلام عليك غريب الغرباء، السلام عليك من الزوفاء والفخراء، السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس، السلام عليك يا نيس النفوس، السلام عليك أيها المدفون برزتوس، السلام عليك يا سلطان والحسن علي بن موسى رضا ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا مظهر الإيمان، أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهور، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على
We'll start the Q&A in about 5 minutes, inshallah. So while you guys all praying your Hadiya Ziyarah namaz, we'll invite the ladies to come into the main hall in about 5 minutes, inshallah. If the ladies want to start making their way into the gents hall, we'll start Q&A in 2 minutes. Ladies can make their way into the gents hall. Q&A will start in 2 minutes, inshallah. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. If we can settle down, inshallah, we'll begin the Q&A. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sallu ala Muhammad. I'm going to give a brief introduction to the Sayyid, inshallah, and a bit about him. He's been with us for the last 2 weeks and shared a beautiful topic about the Ummah. So just so you know a little bit more about the Sayyid, Dr. Sayyid Rehan Naqvi is a theologian and an energy transition scientist. He obtained a PhD in energy engineering from NTNU, Norway, and worked for Shell for several years before he developed a passion for Islamic theology. After years of study, he specialized in Quranic sciences and tafsir and obtained the Ijaza Riwayat from several maraja. In addition, he has authored the book The People of Deeper Understanding on thematic exegesis of Ulul Albab in the Quran. He also holds a graduate diploma in international relations from LSE and a diploma in web journalism from the University of Nordland. Nowadays, in parallel with his religious works, he works in London as a carbon capture and storage expert for one of the major energy companies. He is also an ECB certified cricket coach. So inshallah we can use his knowledge and his expertise with your questions. So please can we welcome him with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Bismillah. Thank you for your in talks that are thought-provoking. And there's much to think about and much to discuss, and also many action points. I want to ask you a couple of questions. Why did it take a non-Muslim country, a majority non-Muslim country, although it has got a very influential Muslim population, like South Africa, to pursue a case for genocide against the state of Israel? There are 52 to 55 Muslim majority countries, and none of them dared to do that. And it took a country like South Africa to do that. That's one question. The other thing you keep repeating, that we went off track from Banu Saqifa. Then the question arises, if people go off track, then there's a period when they come on track. And Imam Ali had the chance to put things on track when he was universally elected and accepted as the fourth Caliph of Islam. So why did he not succeed in putting things back on track as they should have been?
Thank you. Interesting questions. First, South Africa. So this is really a very interesting development that South Africa is taking Israel to the International Criminal Court in The Hague. And we know that South Africa has a history of apartheid, and they are very sensitive to this. And we hear it from South African delegates and the leaders. They condemn this apartheid regime or this apartheid in Palestine. So I think this is in the spirit of South Africa. In the spirit of South Africa to do this. We also hear similar things from Ireland. They also have a history. We see that the Irish Republic, not the Northern Ireland of your country, but Irish, they also are very pro-Palestinian. They haven't gone at lengths like South Africa, but they openly condemn Israel and support Palestine. So I think this has got something to do with the spirit that is in the nations. And, you know, they are at least free. That hurriya of thought, which Muslim leaders don't have. Muslim populations, the Ummah of the Holy Prophet, would very much want this to happen. They would very much want the leaders to take such steps, but the leaders don't. They don't. They have their own interests. That's the simple answer. Simple answer. And we don't have that spirit of freedom. And this is really a shame, a very good question, that a country like South Africa does that. It's a shame. It's a matter of shame for the Ummah. And I salute South Africa. I salute their leaders. And they have their leader, Nelson Mandela, who inspired not only South Africans, but people across the world. And there were countries who considered him a terrorist at that time, but nowadays you dare say a word against Nelson Mandela, and we'll see how the world reacts. Because when someone is free, ahrar, Imam Hussein said on the day of Ashura to those people, even if you do not believe in the hereafter, Kunu ahrara. At least be free in this world. So these leaders, Nelson Mandela was a free man. He might have made mistakes and stuff, but still, great man. We salute Nelson Mandela. It's the spirit of Nelson Mandela that still is alive in South Africa. So that was number one. Number two, Imam Ali alayhi salam. So, a very good question. However, a minor correction. Imam Ali alayhi salam was not universally accepted. He was not universally elected. And here is the root cause of all that trouble and turmoil during the period of the caliphate of Imam Ali alayhi salam, because Muawiyah never accepted Imam Ali alayhi salam. He was not universally elected per se, yes. An overwhelming majority of Muslims, they came to Ali alayhi salam and said that now you accept the caliphate, you become the caliph, because things are getting out of control. Because Uthman, the third caliph, due to his lack of competence or sheer incompetence and nepotism and no control over the affairs of the government, the situation had become like that a big part of the Ummah. And many Sahaba had turned against him and they wanted to depose him, and many of them wanted to kill him. And Imam Ali alayhi salam still defended him. And that's a separate subject. But the thing is, after that, there was no one who could put things in order again. So people came to Ali alayhi salam and he accepted. He reluctantly accepted. They insisted so much, he accepted. Okay, I'll become the caliph. But Muawiyah never accepted him. And there were also some other prominent people in Medina who did not, some prominent and influential persons who did not accept him, who waged a war against him first, and then Muawiyah waged a war against him. So he didn't get free hand, he didn't get the support he needed, otherwise he would put things back on track. He never got the chance. Only hardly 4 years full of turmoil, problems, Muawiyah, Jamal, Siffin, Nahrawan, fitna after fitna after fitna, and then he was martyred. So what is 4 years? Nothing. So he didn't get the chance to put things back on track. Unfortunately so.
Just on a lighter note, since I heard about your cricket thing, would you consider the cricket fraternity as an ummah?
That's a very good question. You know, I don't know what to say. I was reading, when I was doing some research, when preparing for this lecture, and I came across a point of view of Grand Ayatollah Nasir Makarim Shirazi, and he wrote that Ummah in the stricter sense, or the real meaning of Ummah, is a group of people. Just a group of people, that's it. Nothing else, a group of people. So if in that strict sense of the word, ummah of cricket enthusiasts. You see, ummah, we recite in Ziyarat Ashura, وَلَعْنَ اللَّهُ أُمَّةً قَتَلَتْكُمْ. Group of people. Group of people. Ummah, and its meaning is a group of people. But interesting question.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
You, I think, out of all the, you mentioned just now, you touched on it, that the case is going on in The Hague.
Sorry, where is the question?
Sorry?
Sometimes I can't, sorry, I couldn't see you, so I
It's okay, don't worry, hidden agenda. Huh? You touched upon it, about the Hague. Now here's a classic example, how the media have not covered it. And if you look around, you know, this has been going on for 75 years. And it's the only benefit of all this that's happened is that the whole world has now woken up. Literally the whole world has now woken up, even though it's been going on for 75 years that we know of it. But the world didn't realize. And now they realize exactly what the Zionists are like and what their aims are. And they control every every CEO of every major company in the world is a Zionist. And you can see how they're controlling. The media has not mentioned this at all.
Not my company's CEO.
You see? But you get my drift. But you see, that's the only benefit real, that the world has now woken up. that what they are really like? It's just more of an observation, it's not a question.
Thank you. Yeah, the world is waking up and has woken up, but unfortunately, again, people's aspirations, sometimes they remain aspirations, and leaders.
And what can we do about it, apart from what you recited, the little charity that we can do? We have no power. What can we do? Those who are holding power are controlling everything.
Yeah. It's a dilemma, and I am very much aware of it. You know, we can have lofty goals and we can think about great things, but at the end of the day, there is only this much we can do. And I said, whatever we can do, we should do. Charity, awareness, and all that.
So therefore, we can only pray and hasten their reappearance.
So that was the thing about, you know, Dua Faraj. And our teachers and Urafa and Gnostics and Maraji, everyone says that. You know, I said there is only this much we can do, but to be honest, prayers is the biggest weapon of a believer. And Maraji say, pray for the reappearance. And we don't. We think that we can fix everything ourselves. We should fix everything ourselves. We can't. We can't. And the sooner we realize this, the better it is. And then we should sincerely pray for the reappearance of our Imam. And that's the only way this world is going to be fixed, because we are living in a world that has become so complicated and complex, this intricate system, economic system, and this unsustainable economic system and everything. I sometimes think it is virtually impossible for human beings, mere fallible human beings, to fix it. It's not. And now with AI coming and everything, God knows where we are going to end up. It's very difficult. But still, we have to do our bit.
Anyone? With a question?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you?
Thank you. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Yeah, the question, this is not put, it was put to me by my mother today when I talked to her on the phone. She said, if the Palestinians, who are predominantly Sunni, asked for Imam Zamana to help them, he would come. But they're not doing that. They're refusing to do so. Like the point you made as well.
This is a very interesting point. They don't, because they don't believe in him. And it's a pity, but as I said, we have to raise awareness and tell the other members of the Ummah about these subjects. And this can only happen if we are open to other communities, and they're open to listen to us. And it's very difficult, as I said during the speech as well, this cancer of takfirism and this jamud, this stagnation. We're not willing to listen to one another. And it was not like this before. Before, even in Medina, in Kufa, despite all that oppression that was taking place, throughout the history, people did speak to each other and lived alongside one another, and these things happened. But now it seems like everyone has decided my way or highway, and whatever I believe in, that's the absolute truth, and everything else is false. It doesn't work this way. So, yeah, dialogue is really needed.
Yeah, you mentioned doing more charity, but you didn't talk about being involved in politics. Well, one of the reasons for the pro-Israeli lobbies and the Jewish community having so much power is because they have worked very hard.
I would just like to interrupt here, because Jewish can be grossly misinterpreted, because Jews are our brothers and sisters. Yes. The Zionist lobby, I would use the word, because...
No, the pro-Israeli lobby, I call them.
Yeah, so,
which includes Christian Zionists as well.
And Muslim Zionists as well.
Muslim
Zionists as well. So, so that would be more precise to say.
Right, but in general terms, if you look at communities-wise, in the UK, let's say, Jewish communities, majority of them, Muslim communities, Christian communities, the Jewish communities is lesser in numbers, but more powerful in influence. If something happens, there's an attack, anti-Semitic attack, it gets the necessary publicity, the necessary action from the government side, which the Muslims don't get. Islamophobia is not even recognized. There's a problem for the conservatives, particularly, to even accept it's a problem. So what I'm trying to say, basically, it's partly our fault because we are not politically active as citizens. And the reason why I cited South Africa, because I remember South Africa, the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa, Muslim figures were very prominent in it from the very beginning.
Yeah.
In key positions, and they put a lot of effort against anti-apartheid struggle, and the churches as well were very heavily involved as well. In
it's a religious society in general. Religion plays an important role there. Yeah.
Even though apartheid regime was supported by one of the churches, the Boer churches, so that was interesting. But the Anglican Church, other churches, took a stand against. But what is important to state here is the role of the Muslim communities in South Africa itself. So there is a place for Muslim communities in the UK as well to play because of their numbers, influence. Definitely. But you haven't spoken anything about that. I think you need to dedicate maybe one talk to that.
Yeah.
What are the areas? Because I often hear these talk shows on LBC, and very rare you get Muslims ringing in and speaking articulately.
Yes.
To make their points.
You're talking about LBC?
LBC.
Yes.
Because that's the main talk show. But you'll get very articulate members
we don't
of
have
the
that
pro-Zionist camp
making
their points very clearly. So you feel that actually they are the victims and the Palestinians are the oppressors against them. They are able to have that articulation. But the Muslims, unfortunately, they are not. We also saw the rabbis who demonstrated the United Nations, with Rabbis for Peace camp in the US, in the United Nations. And they got a lot of publicity. But you don't see that action on the part of the imams. Even if the Shia and Sunni imams manage to get together. So there is a problem there. There's a very big problem. And it needs some more research and talking about it as to what is the solution. I know there are mosques that don't even allow anybody to talk about Palestine. Yet there are synagogues in which they will talk about against Zionism. So we have a very serious problem in our communities. I don't know how it can be addressed. I don't have any answers.
This is
but something for you to maybe talk about at a future lecture.
Thank you. Several interesting points made. So first of all, I'm not British or British citizen, and I don't plan to become one. So being new in the UK, being a Norwegian citizen, so I don't know, but I would still like to take the liberty to talk about British politics and the things. I'm still learning, and. In Europe, yes, in general. But Britain is a special place compared to other countries. Britain is so multicultural and so many Muslims living here. And do you know that there is a hijrah taking place? Muslims do hijrah from continental Europe to Britain so that they can live a more Islamic life. This happens. There is this whole phenomenon of hijrah because Britain has certain things in British society which are really nice, like, as I said, multiculturalism and all that. But definitely politics, yes. Everywhere in Western countries, Muslims should become more active in politics, but without compromising on their values and beliefs. And it can be challenging because we see that Muslims have entered politics, but then they really start compromising on their values and beliefs. And if they don't, then probably they wouldn't be elected. So it's a separate subject, but important one to talk about.
Assalamu alaikum, Sayyid.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
So I have some Sunni friends, like we all do, and they also believe in the Mahdi, but slightly differently.
Yeah.
Could you just give us a kind of high-level summary of what their beliefs are on the Mahdi?
Yeah, good one. So when it comes to the concept of Mahdi alayhi salam, all Muslims believe in that. So the general belief among the Sunni Muslims is that Mahdi is going to be a Sayyid from the children of Fatima salamullah alayha. Some believe he's going to be Hassani, some believe he's going to be Hussaini. Regardless, he will be born. And after that they believe pretty much everything that we believe in. He will fill the earth with justice the way it would have been filled with injustice. Prophet Isa alayhi salam will return and say prayers behind him. Khurasani, Yamani, Sufyani, all those things, the signs of reappearance, they all exist in the Sunni sources. And many of the Shia narrations that we see, they're also found in Sunni. Some are even taken from those sources. And there are several chains of narrators in Sunni sources that talk about Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, and some of those chains and some of those narrations say that he's the son of Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam. Even in the Sunni sources, there is this book written by Sheikh Qurani, Ali Qurani, Asr al-Zuhur. In that he has discussed this in depth. These chains of narrators, Makhtuta ya Hamad. Makhtuta ya Hamad is the main source when it comes to the eschatology and the reappearance in Zuhur. Makhtuta ya Hamad means the writings of Hamad or Hamad, someone. And Sheikh Qurani discusses those chains in detail, and he argues that out of 6 different turuq or different ways or narrations or chains, if I remember correctly, because it's been quite a while that I read that, 2 chains say that he's the son of Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam, but our brothers and sisters don't know.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I have basic questions. I mean, we live in a multicultural society and we have non-Muslim friends. And sometimes I think, like, are we lucky to be born as a Muslim? What about non-Muslims who have different practices? But how do we rationalize this in our mindset? Like, things that are haram for us, maybe halal for them, kind of. I mean, is it like, are we lucky to be born as a Muslim, and then how do we kind of think about it?
Slightly off topic, but there are different questions that are off topic also. But very interesting question, and very a question that I would love to answer in detail. But now just a quick answer, if that's okay. Yeah. So I really appreciate this question. I said off topic, but I didn't mean to say that. I don't appreciate this question. You said some things might be haram for them, haram for us, but jaiz or allowed for them. Okay. Yes. It is okay if those things that they believe are jaiz for them or allowed for them are not against the basic Abrahamic ethics and values. So drinking wine, fornication and adultery, they're not jaiz in any school of thought or any belief or anything. They think that they are jaiz. Losing your aql because of intoxication. So they weren't jaiz per se, but they have been made jaiz for them. So, but if there are other things, okay, they have certain eating habits and stuff. They eat certain kind of meats and stuff. Okay, that one can say, all right, so this is their way of life. It is allowed in their system or religion, so that can be tolerated. For example, let me give you the example. When it comes to ham and pork, you can deal in that in somehow when you are when you don't have any choice or you don't find work, so you can still prepare sandwiches that involve haram meat or pork and stuff. Okay? Because that has become a staple food for them. But in no circumstances you're allowed to even wash the glasses in a restaurant in which wine has been drunk. So no tolerance for that. No tolerance for that. I'm getting a bit carried away and getting into the fiqh stuff, but my point is that it's not always that simple that, oh, those certain sinful practices are allowed in their religion. No, they're not. So that was the first thing. Secondly, you say rationalize, like what is going to happen to them in the hereafter, for example? I think that's at the crux of this question, or what's their fault that they're not Muslim? It's Allah's eternal ilm and wisdom on the basis of which He has made you and me to be born in a certain family and them in another family. And everyone is going to be tested according to their circumstances. And I recently had a discussion related to this with one of my teachers. It's a sensitive topic, it's a bit complex topic, and we need to discuss this some other time, but it is not black and white the way we think. It is not like everybody is just going to end up in hell. It's not that easy to end up in hell. It's not that easy. You have to be a real kafir to end up in hell. And real kafir is the one who, let me give you an example. You say this is water. And I say, okay, I don't believe this is water. This is ketone or something else. I don't know. And say, no, this is water. And I do inkar. I do kufr. I say, no, this is not water. I say, this is not water. Then you say, smell, look at it. I look at it, I smell, and I say, oh, yeah, it looks pretty much like water, but no, this is not water. This is something else. Then I drink it. And yet I say, this is not water. Then I send it to lab, and they give detailed composition of it and say, this is really H2O plus all those minerals and stuff. And I say, no, this is not water. Then I am real kafir. This is kufr.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I want to go back to the previous question, which was talking about the Imam of our time. And I wanted to ask, in Dua Ahad, it says that if death was to come before, if my death was to come before the reappearance of the Imam, then raise me from my grave. Mm-hmm. So does that mean that even after we pass away, we will have the opportunity to fight in the army of the Imam? And if so, does that mean anyone who was good from the time of Adam until now, or is it the time from after Imam Hassan Askari? And that leads on to, would the Imams be raised, the 11 Imams previous to the 12th?
Good one. Adam alayhi salam until now, it's difficult to say, but we see narrations and that need to be looked more in detail and in depth that, for example, Ashabul Kahf will be resurrected, or Raj'ah, and they will come back. So apparently there will be people from the previous Ummah or generations who might be fighting alongside the Imam. And by the way, fighting And I don't want to take the spirit of jihad, and I don't want to sound apologetic, because nowadays everyone says, oh, these people in the West, they're so apologetic and afraid, and they don't want to talk about fight and battle. But I think we also have a very simplistic view that Imam is only going to fight and there are going to be wars. We don't know what kind of fights he's going to fight, how he's going to change the people. But that's another subject. But anyway, let's keep using the word battle or fight. So previous generations, yeah, probably the chosen ones, the ones will come back. When it comes to this ummah, those who longed for him, they will get the choice. They will, as we see in the narrations, that they will be given a choice. You want to go back or not, according to some narrations. But only if you longed for it. Only if you lived a good life. God forbid if someone lived a sinful life and the Imam reappears, the guy is stuck in barzakh. He doesn't even know that the Imam has reappeared. He doesn't care. Unfortunately, if someone lives a life like that, he doesn't care. Is not told. Stuck.
Anyone? You can have a follow-up question.
So when the Imam comes, and sorry, a lot of my questions are going to be about the Imam of
Very
our time.
interesting. Now, the more we talk about the Imam of our time, the better it is. Just like dhikru aliyin ibadah, dhikr of our Imam is also ibadah. We are doing worship.
Subhanallah. When the Imam comes, how long will he serve for? Because I came across a hadith that says for every 1 day in oppression, there will be 2 days of goodness. So does that give an idea of how long the Imam would serve for?
وَتُمَتِّعَهُ فِيهَا طَوِيلًا. God knows how long.
Fair enough. That's a very fair answer.
Was that a question? There you go. They say, if there are no more questions, we thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I was really honored.
Honestly, this has been a very illuminating 2 weeks. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And for your expertise and for your wisdom. We thank you.
Thank you so much. Jazakumullahu khairan. Thank you, everyone. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Is it that there were no questions because you were already served with tea? Next time we might just delay it a bit.
So you can share your